Today is Monday, October 12, 2020. Roland Martin Unfiltered broadcasting live from Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. One of the super voting sites when early voting begins in Texas beginning tomorrow. Coming up on today's show, we'll talk about how critical Texas is going to be in this year's election. It is going to be a state. It is a very close state. We'll break down all the implications on the show. Also, drama out of California. Republicans are creating their own drop boxes. What the hell is going on there? Also, Amy Coney Barrett, her Supreme Court confirmation hearing begins today, even though the Senate isn't in session. Folks, early voting begins in Georgia. We got a jam-packed show. It is time to bring the funk. I'm Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
All right, folks, Roland Martin here. We are at Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. Early voting begins in Texas, 7 a.m. tomorrow. And what you'll see here, folks, you'll see right here, all of these ballot boxes. This is a super voting site. They're using the church atrium to make it easier for folks to be able to vote early voting tomorrow. Now, what's important, of course, here is that this is a huge issue here, is that it's a massive parking lot as well. And so it provides enough social distancing for people to be standing in lines. We're going to talk about voting just a little bit later, but the big story taking place in Washington, D.C. is the Supreme Court hearing for Amy Coney Barrett. Republicans are doing whatever they can to ram this through, even though we are less than 30 days from the election. Of course, it has been going on all day. Even have some folks like Senator Mike Lee, who tested positive for coronavirus, out there testifying, not even wearing a mask. Senator Kamala Harris chose to testify remotely, question remotely, and she challenged the senators as to why they were even holding this hearing in the middle of this pandemic. We're going to get to all that a little bit later. Right now, though, we're joined by Barbara Arnwine. She's the founder and president of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Barbara, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Here we are, 22 days out before Election Day. More than 9 million people in America have already voted. We see massive lines in Georgia, massive lines expected in Texas tomorrow, and Republicans don't care about the president, don't care about what they did in 2016 to Obama with Merrick Garland. They desperately want to get this woman confirmed before the election because they expect to see massive losses, and they know public opinion will be even further against them if they wait.
Absolutely. And what we saw today, Roland, was for a judiciary hearing. I thought there was so much drama, I couldn't believe it. I mean, you had that incredible exchange between White House and Cornyn, where he just went all the way in. I think the Democrats did a good job, Democratic senators, of just repeatedly making sure everybody was aware that the ACA, the Affordable Health Care Act, was at stake here. And that she wasn't just chosen because they said she was first of her class, but because of her conservative views. In fact, all throughout this hearing, I don't know if all your listeners got it, but there were all kinds of code being spoken. When they said, for example, that she was, I loved it when they said that she worked for, Lawrence Silverman. And when they talked about her being solidly shaped by Scalia. Those were code words saying she is a conservative to the T, and that she's going to be a rabid conservative. And I really felt that I was surprised, frankly, by her opening statement that she did not go further in to try to humanize herself, to make herself more acceptable, that it was so bland. It was just total white bread presentation. But I think that's because she's overconfident.
Obviously, look, we see what they are doing. Republicans want to get this done. They know full well they are behind in a number of states right now. They could lose upwards of 10 Senate seats, and that if they wait until after the election, they know public sentiment will be further against them. The polls already show that most Americans, a supermajority of Americans, say this hearing should not be taking place until after a new president is elected.
Absolutely. And they really aren't feeling her. I mean, every time people read about her, learn more about her, they don't see her as someone they want on that court. They do not see her as Ruth Bader Ginsburg's replacement. No matter how much they try to say woman, 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 no matter how much she talks about, whatever, first she may have been, I think the people just hear something very different. They see this. They don't get it. They're saying we need stimulus help. We need unemployment checks. We need health care. We need more. And we don't need a conservative Supreme Court justice. And so they haven't helped themselves at all. I think that, this hearing has been really fascinating to watch, just how much damage I thought the GOP members did to themselves because they just cannot help themselves. And so they could not help their criticisms of Obamacare, as they called it. They could not help themselves for going in on Senator Harris, showing all kind of misogynoir war all over the place, showing that, they're black woman get in your place kind of, talk. They couldn't help themselves. And I think that the more they do this, if they keep in this vein, all this hearing will be is a big old commercial for these elections. So it is not, going to accomplish what they want. They probably will get her on the court because they have the raw numbers, right? But the public isn't feeling her. 74% more say that they don't care about, they don't like her. They just don't feel her. And I think that that's important because ultimately, when it comes down to it, these are the things that will make a difference in the future as to what happens with this court.
One of the things that obviously we want to also deal with is that the reality is here. Amy Coney Barrett, and I think this is one of the things that we have to keep reminding our people. The reason she was even appointed to the Seventh Circuit is because the Republicans they actually blocked an African-American woman. Henry,
right.
let me know if you're able to, see this video right here. This is the woman right here, an African-American woman. Barbara, tell our listeners again what happened here with the Seventh Circuit. She was supposed to be the history-making appointee.
They stole the seat by basically not allowing her nomination to proceed. This is what we're looking at. This entire seat that we're talking about that's being filled is the Merrick Garland seat. It is another stolen seat. So we're dealing with thieves here who, are just, determined to use raw power to get the results that they want. They're not thinking about the best person for these jobs. They stole the Obama seat, and now they made up a new, quote, rule talking about, when it's a president of a different party, then we can oppose, even though we said we would never do this kind of opposition before. It's just nothing but contextual ethics. And it's evil, it's ugly, and it really, however, for those of us watching, I want everyone to know that there are real consequences here, because this woman has written a little bit on voting rights. And remember, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was fabulous on voting rights. She not only wrote that incredible dissent in the Shelby versus Holder case in 2013, which destroyed, Section 5's effectiveness. And she also, this April, while sick, wrote an incredible dissent in the RNC versus DNC case. So but this woman went out of her way in another court case that had nothing to do with the voting rights for people who were had felony convictions in their history to talk about it and to say that she didn't think any of them should be able to vote, in essence. So we need to really realize who we're looking at. This is an arch conservative. She is going to be really bad on all the issues that we care about. This is not a woman who is ridden with compassion. This is a woman who is ridden straight up the ideology of the conservative wing. And I just want to remind you, when she keeps saying that she's Scalia's model, that she's his clone, that we got to remember who Scalia was. Scalia was the person who said that the Voting Rights Act is a racial entitlement. So let's never forget what's going on and what's at stake here, because if we're going to have a democracy, we must have a functioning Voting Rights Act. And we cannot have a court that is so hard right that it keeps destroying the voting rights of people of color.
All right, Barbara Arnwine, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, as you heard Barbara talking about that testimony, folks, here is some of today's hearing from Capitol Hill.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on September the 18th. What can you say about Justice Ginsburg? She was confirmed 96-3. Now, those were days that have since passed. I regret that. 96-3. Now, this was a person who worked for the ACLU, someone who was known in progressive circles as an icon. Apparently, just about every Republican voted for her. In my view, the person appearing before this committee is in a category of excellence, something the country should be proud of, and she will have a chance to make her case to be a worthy successor and to become the 9th member of the Supreme Court of the United States. On September the 26th, Judge Amy Barrett was nominated by President Trump to the Supreme Court.
When the president offered me this nomination, I was deeply honored. But it was not a position I had sought out, and I thought carefully before accepting. The confirmation process and the work of serving on the court, if confirmed, requires sacrifices, particularly from my family. I chose to accept the nomination because I believe deeply in the rule of law and the place of the Supreme Court in our nation. I believe Americans of all backgrounds deserve an independent Supreme Court that interprets our Constitution and laws as they are written. And I believe I can serve my country by playing that role. I come before this committee with humility about the responsibility that I have been asked to undertake, and with appreciation for those who have come before me. When I was 21 years old and just beginning my career, Ruth Bader Ginsburg sat in this seat. She told the committee, "What has become of me could only happen in America." I have been nominated to fill Justice Ginsburg's seat, but no one will ever take her place. I will be forever grateful for the path she marked and the life she led. If confirmed, it would be the honor of a lifetime to serve alongside the Chief Justice and 7 Associate Justices. I admire them all and would consider each a valued colleague.
Senators who clearly set out that a precedent that the president in an election year should wait, that we should have an election, and that then the people choose the president and the president chooses the nominee. That was your precedent. It has been said that the wheels of justice turn slowly, and justice, on the other hand, can move at lightning speed, as we are seeing here today. We cannot, and you watching at home should not, separate this hearing from the moment we are in and from the judge he is trying to rush through. To respond to Senator Cruz, this isn't a rush to justice. This is a rush to put in a justice whose views are known and who will have a profound impact on your life. And yes, these policies that the court decides, they matter. Where you can go to school, who you can marry, decisions you can make about your own body, and yes, your health care. The president knows this.
If you were watching today's hearing, and some of the statements made by some of my colleagues, in fact, if you were to look at any of the countless posters put up in here, you'd think that this was a political discussion, a policy discussion, a legislative discussion. You, in fact, are not being reviewed for a legislative position or a policy-making position. You're being reviewed for a position on our nation's highest court, where you'll be asked from time to time to decide cases based on the law, based on the facts. This is not something that should result, or properly should be considered by us, as something that requires us to examine whether, to what extent, in what way, you have compassion for any of the individuals depicted in these photos. I'm certain, just based on my limited interaction with you, that you have compassion for all people.
Senator Kamala Harris of California is also the Democratic VP nominee. She asked her questions, and she spoke remotely because she did not want to be in the room of the Senate Judiciary Committee, where two Republicans on the committee who were sitting in the room tested positive for coronavirus and refused to go into quarantine. Here's what she had to say.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This hearing has brought together more than 50 people to sit inside of a closed-door room for hours while our nation is facing a deadly airborne virus. This committee has ignored common-sense requests to keep people safe, including not requiring testing for all members, despite a coronavirus outbreak among senators of this very committee. By contrast, in response to this recent Senate outbreak, the leaders of Senate Republicans rightly postponed business on the Senate floor this week to protect the health and safety of senators and staff. Mr. Chairman, for the same reasons, this hearing should have been postponed. The decision to hold this hearing now is reckless and places facilities workers, janitorial staff, and congressional aides and Capitol Police at risk. Not to mention that while tens of millions of Americans are struggling to pay their bills, the Senate should be prioritizing coronavirus relief and providing financial support to those families. The American people need to have help to make rent or their mortgage payment. We should provide financial assistance to those who have lost their job and help parents put food on the table. Small businesses need help, as do the cities, towns, and hospitals that this crisis has pushed to the brink. The House bill would help families and small businesses get through this crisis. But Senate Republicans have not lifted a finger for 150 days, which is how long that bill has been here in the Senate, to move the bill. Yet, this committee is determined to rush a Supreme Court confirmation hearing through in just 16 days. Senate Republicans have made it crystal clear that rushing a Supreme Court nomination is more important than helping and supporting the American people who are suffering from a deadly pandemic and a devastating economic crisis. Their priorities are not the American people's priorities. But for the moment, Senate Republicans hold the majority in the Senate and determine the schedule. So here we are. The Constitution of the United States entrusts the Senate with the solemn duty to carefully consider nominations for lifetime appointments to the United States Supreme Court. Yet the Senate majority is rushing this process and jamming President Trump's nominee through the Senate while people are actually voting, just 22 days before the end of the election. More than 9 million Americans have already voted, and millions more will vote while this illegitimate committee process is underway. A clear majority of Americans want whomever wins this election to fill this seat, and my Republican colleagues know that. Yet they are deliberately defying the will of the people in their attempt to roll back the rights and protections provided under the Affordable Care Act. And let's remember, in 2017, President Trump and congressional Republicans repeatedly tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. But remember, people from all walks of life spoke out and demanded Republicans stop trying to take away the American people's health care. Republicans finally realized that the Affordable Care Act is too popular to repeal in Congress. So now they are trying to bypass the will of the voters and have the Supreme Court do their dirty work. That's why President Trump promised to only nominate judges who will get rid of the Affordable Care Act. This administration, with the support of Senate Republicans, will be in front of the Supreme Court on November 10th to argue that the entire Affordable Care Act should be struck down. That's in 29 days that'll happen. And that's a big reason why Senate Republicans are rushing this process. They are trying to get a justice onto the court in time to ensure they can strip away the protections of the Affordable Care Act. And if they succeed, it will result in millions of people losing access to health care at the worst possible time, in the middle of a pandemic. 23 million Americans could lose their health insurance altogether. If they succeed, they will eliminate protections for 135 million Americans with pre-existing conditions like diabetes and asthma, heart disease, or cancer, a list that now will include over 7 million Americans who have contracted COVID-19. Insurance companies could deny you coverage or could sell you a plan that won't pay a dime toward treating anything related to your pre-existing condition. If the Affordable Care Act is struck down, you will have to once again pay for things like mammograms and cancer screenings and birth control. Seniors will pay more for prescription drugs, and young adults will be kicked off of their parents' plans. And these are not abstract issues. We need to be clear about how overturning the Affordable Care Act will impact the people we all represent. For example, Micah, who is 11 years old, and she lives in Southern California. So Micah enjoys being a Girl Scout, and ice skating, and reading, and eating pasta, and baking. Her mother says the only reason Micah is able to live her life as she does now is because the Affordable Care Act guarantees that her health insurance cannot deny her coverage or limit her care because it's too expensive. You see, Micah has a congenital heart defect. She goes to multiple specialists throughout the year and gets an MRI with anesthesia every 6 months. At just 11 months old, Micah's family had already hit $50,000 in medical expenses, and her biannual MRI cost were $15,000 a session. And so, correction, by 11 months old, her family had hit $500,000 in medical expenses. If Republicans succeed in striking down the Affordable Care Act, insurance companies will be able to deny coverage for children with serious conditions, children like Micah. And parents, well, they'll be on their own. No one should face financial ruin to get their child or their spouse or their parent the care they need. And no family should be kept from seeing a doctor or getting treatment because an insurance company says that the treatment is too expensive. In America, access to health care should not be determined based on how much money you have. Health care and access to health care should be a right. Micah and millions of others who are protected by the Affordable Care Act know this is fundamentally what is at stake with this Supreme Court nomination.
All right, folks, let's go to our panel. Joining us today, Teresa Lundy, principal founder, TML Communications. Quentin Young, he is the host of Poppin' Politics podcast. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice, EPA. Teresa, I'll start with you. It's real clear what Republicans are doing. They desperately want to fill this seat in order for them to have a 6-3 conservative majority on the Supreme Court. So let's not even play games with this. And what gets me are Republicans, they made a lot of hay since the vice presidential debate. Even over the weekend, all these media people focused on, the Democrats are trying to pack the court. No, packing the court is what the Republicans have been doing for the past several years, blocking Obama appointees and putting more than 218 federal judges on the bench since Trump was president. That's packing the court.
Yeah, I mean, also packing a court with individuals who don't look like you or myself, who are fully qualified and authorized to do the work of the people. But I think most of it, really comes from this expediency that I think the American people really need to be concerned about, especially listed, by Senator Kamala Harris, regarding some of the issues with COVID-19 and some of those pre-existing conditions. I'm sure we all know someone, that has those serious pre-existing conditions. And again, in 29 days, that decision will be made of how the Affordable Health Care Act would streamline some of these decisions and, possibly Roe versus Wade. So I think we really need to all be taking a serious look at what's going on in these Senate hearings, but also understanding that this process, Republicans are really thinking about the long-term gain. And that long-term gain is lying on the back of President Trump. And honestly, I just feel like they don't care if he loses or not, but they need to get their agenda across while he's in this position. And so that's essentially what we're seeing. We are seeing this, it was like rat race almost. How quickly can we stir the pot, and how quickly can we put those who shouldn't be in position without proper protocols and not. So, I'm hoping for something different. But again, this is the right-left agenda.
Mustafa, look, Republicans have the votes to actually get her confirmed on the court. But this is the thing that I keep saying. This is where Democrats have to play hardball. They keep trying to make Biden and Harris answer the question, will you pack the court? They shouldn't answer the question. We know they're going to vote. But again, Democrats had better be fully prepared when they get control to actually use power as ruthless as Republicans are doing it.
Right. They set the precedent. So now you're going to have to deal with the outcomes of what you have put in motion. And Democrats have to continue to hit on, this is about health care, this is about climate, this is about voting, and of course all of this is tied back into COVID-19. And what's going on across the country is that people are actually paying attention to the courts now. We know folks just have not been as engaged on the courts as they should have been. We talked about it on the show, from the Supreme Court all the way down, how incredibly important these positions are, because, they're interpreting, what the laws are. And whether you care, almost every issue that you care about is going to roll through the courts, and it will either be in a positive way of helping to improve what's going on in your life, or it's going to have significant impacts. It may shorten your life, or it may extract wealth from you. So folks have got to pay attention, and Democrats have got to continue to anchor this in the reality of what's going on in people's lives and these decisions that these judges are making.
Quentin, I'll go to you here again. Look, we're going to see this thing happen this week. We know exactly how this thing is going to end up unless something catastrophic happens. But Democrats must use this opportunity to really lay down the framework, pin her as aggressive as possible. And you know what? And I'm really sick of all this stuff. Keep talking about how she's a mom, how many kids she has. That has nothing to do with whether you're going to be a Supreme Court justice, okay? My mama got 5 kids, all right? But that ain't got nothing to do with somebody being appointed to the Supreme Court.
I mean, they're trying to find some kind of way to humanize her, but to be honest, I mean, these are the political issues that people are concerned with. This is why people don't feel like they should vote, because there's kind of political corruption going on. They knew what they were doing the whole time. They had plans on doing this when Obama was in office. They've been waiting on Ruth Bader Ginsburg to pass on the whole time. They've been talking about putting their circuit court judges there because they know the cases aren't going to make it. They know that they've been packing the court. They know what they said before, but they had a whole intention to make sure that they could get this done. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg held on for as long as she can, but unfortunately she passed on, and they're going to close the deal. And it's unfortunate. And the thing about it is it's really going to affect the American people, because a lot of people have pre-existing conditions. A lot of people will lose health care. Before Obamacare, I mean, healthcare was kind of a second thought, even kind of out of mind, like something that you just wouldn't have. And it just really bothers me how you have these elitist politicians making decisions on the lives of average people.
All right, so look, we see what's going to come down next. First of all, I'm losing Quentin's audio there, but here's the deal here. When we talk about this is going to go until Friday. It's going to go until Friday. I think what's important, we're going to have civil rights folks testify as well. This is how you lay the groundwork for what you do next. I fundamentally believe, and I don't care what Republicans have to say, Democrats should increase the number of justices on the Supreme Court because Republicans have done. And Teresa, this is real simple. Republicans in Arizona 3 years ago added and they increased justices to the Arizona Supreme Court. They had a scandal in West Virginia. What did they do? They got rid of the entire Supreme Court. That Democrats had a majority on the Supreme Court, replaced them with Republicans. North Carolina, they tried to strip the North Carolina State Supreme Court of most of its powers by shifting it to a lower court. When the Democrats got a 4-3 majority on that court, they now have a 5-2 majority. And in Pennsylvania, when they ruled against political gerrymandering, the Republicans wanted to impeach the Democratic Supreme Court justices in the state of Pennsylvania, in your particular state, Teresa. So look, I have all these Republicans who are complaining about court packing. They said nothing when those things went down, and Democrats should say, when we get power, we're going to use power.
Listen, this is chess, not checkers. And so every move that is going to be made between now and then, you know, I am so in agreement with Vice President Joe Biden.
All right, Henry, when you switch, when you take it, no,
yes. Yes, and Senator Kamala Harris, I am in agreement with them as they look to not answering the question about packing the court, because quite honestly, you don't let the next man know what your move is. Allow them to assume, and then you take power. That's how chess is played, and that's how it's always as the cards have been dealt. But as we, kind of look forward into what the future looks like for packing the court and unpacking what that looks like, it really is a numbers game. Right? Who has the votes and, who can challenge the votes, and understanding that this has happened in other states. As you said, Roland, in other states across the country, this has happened and no one has said anything. Everyone has been silent. I mean, there has been some advocacy on this issue, but it has never gotten to the national precedent as it is now, because they understand this is the Supreme Court. So again, we're going to have these issues, but I do believe, the American people definitely need to step up, stand out, right, whoever our senator is, and honestly get those out of power, because this is election season. Get those out of power who has been in power, who wants to decide these type of unprecedented policies and agendas on our family and our next generation.
All right, folks, here's the deal. We're going to talk about voting. Huge things happening all across the country. Early voting today began in Georgia. Massive lines. Some folks in line for 5.5 hours. Early voting begins here in Texas tomorrow. I'll be voting first thing in the morning. We're here at Friendship West Baptist Church, one of the super voting sites. We'll be talking with the senior pastor of the church, Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes, when we come back. Also, we'll talk with Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price about what's happening here in Texas. And then we'll talk about what Republicans are doing in California. They are setting up fake drop boxes. If y'all want to understand how these folks cheat, they are setting up fake drop boxes. I'll explain next. Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Dallas.
Black people have said that for years, that white men, especially white men with money, were afforded all these passes and get out of jail free cards, and and people thought we were not only being paranoid, but but now they see it on display. They see it from their own people. Mm-hmm. And when I say their own people, meaning people who are in their own tax bracket and everything, acting a fool, kowtowing to this man. We saw him sit at a table while everybody basically told and said, oh yes, my liege, and this is what I think, and you're such a beautiful man. And we saw these people who have degrees, accomplishments, all these things just pile on. He has no words, he has no he has nothing. He's just rich and white and mail. And so if people want to see that power on display and then tell us that we're crazy, they can't do it anymore. And that's the good news.
Yo, it's your man Dion Cole from Blackish, and you're watching
Roland Martin, Unfiltered.
Stay Woke.
All right, folks, I have told y'all consistently about what Republicans are doing. We are 21 days before Election Day. Please, I want you to do this here. We, of course, emphasize, I want you to go to vote.org, vote.org, to double-check your registration. Deadlines to register. We are not there yet. We still have deadlines, and so you can still get registered to vote. But as you see right here, go to vote.org. You can actually check your registration. You can, of course, go on their site. You can register to vote. You can do all things that you need to do. We want you to be focused on this election. Okay, this is what's going on. But let me tell you about what's happening, folks, here in what's happening in California. Okay, this is crazy. The California Secretary of State, they are receiving a number of calls about unauthorized drop boxes popping up in Fresno, Los Angeles, and Orange counties. This is a tweet from Jordan Teague, a regional field director for the California Republican Party, who is encouraging people to message him for, actually, y'all should have the tweet on your end, who is encouraging people to message him for convenient locations to drop their own ballots. Here's the problem. The drop box pictured is not an official drop box. Despite that, it has a sign that says official ballot drop box on it. Folks, this is voter fraud. Republicans talk about voter fraud. They are actually doing voter fraud right here. Okay, the report said that boxes like these are being seen at local political party offices, candidate headquarters, and churches as well. That's what I keep trying to explain to people, what is happening, how Republicans play dirty. Mustafa, we're going to see more of this between now and Election Day because they are desperate. They know the only way Donald Trump can win, how they can win in many other places, if they play dirty.
They're trying to rig the game. And, you know, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission actually talked about a number of these issues. You know, everything from there shouldn't be, 15,000 people, you should have to have a drop box for that you should have to have video coverage or surveillance of the drop box so you know if there's any nefarious behaviors that are going on, the signage that's there for it. All these various things have already been suggested, and folks have been utilizing it in Washington State, in Colorado. Folks have been utilizing drop boxes for a number of years and making sure that they have all these things in place. And we should also make sure that folks know that you can get a felony charge for this type of voter fraud stuff that's going on in California. You can spend 2 to 4 years in prison for doing these types of things. So, you know, folks just need to make sure that they're paying attention. 2, that there's accountability in the process. And 3, we need to actually ratchet up, the enforcement that needs to happen in these spaces.
Teresa, this is something, again, I keep warning folks about. Republicans will play dirty. They will cheat. And we're seeing this. Donald Trump can tweet all day about elections being rigged, but his party, they're doing it. When you talk about even here in Texas, where the governor announced the only one drop box for every single county. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. In the next hour, we're actually talking with the Harris County clerk, how that's impacted them. A federal judge ruled against the governor. An appeals court overturned that. So we're now in the courts. Republicans are going to also, and this is why Amy Coney Barrett is important. They want, and why she's important, those 218 federal judges, Teresa, because they want to use those federal judges to rule in their favor. That's why I need all these people to watching stop being stuck on stupid and act as if the president doesn't matter. President appoints federal judges. Senate confirms federal judges. When you sue voting issues, you're going to go to federal courts. And so to act as if you care about local issues and you can ignore the top of the ticket, that's nonsense. It all is intertwined, Teresa.
Absolutely. And you know what? Republicans are really showing how desperate they are to maintain power. It is a very disturbing understanding right now of the way that they have been moving into politics. Their politics is really showing exactly what the Democrats have been saying the entire time, that look, you know, they are not playing by the rules. They do not care about the American people. We are seeing white privilege and privilege in general moving at a high rate that is affecting each and every one of us. And that is the disappointing and the misogyny of it all, because there are some bills that are really sitting right there in the Senate that need to go, you know, and pass, right, with Donald Trump's signature, where he, you know, he can hold up the folder and say, you know, look what I did. But that's not happening. We no longer are getting the front view seat of the executive orders. What we are getting is Republicans desperately trying to essentially pack their own and use by any means. You know, Donald Trump just got finished putting a tweet out, and, you know, of course, the standard operating procedure is about fake news, but this one's about, you know, he made a precedent to actually say Fox News has been putting out more negative advertisement, and this is like in the last 20 minutes, more negative advertisements against him than any other network. Right. And that literally is a call of action to Fox News to dim it down. And it's so crazy that all these antics are showing his hand in the deal, the art of the deal. And I think people really just need to, like, you know, just not only wake up, but we got to do better. We got to vote right now. We got to vote consistently. We got to make sure our neighbors, our friends, and our family members, our coworkers are not only voting, but our voice is being heard as well.
Quentin, we saw massive lines today, early voting registration in Georgia. Same issue we're talking about. We're talking about folks in line 5 and 6 hours. And this is, again, same thing. I wish these people who voting doesn't matter, the Secretary of State, the folks in charge of elections, that's who controls it. If you had people who cared about voting, that's why you need to put those folks in those positions. And so Georgia, they want folks to get frustrated, but there were folks who said, I don't care what they do, I'm standing in this line. 5 and 6 hour waits all across the state.
I mean,
as we see in the video right here. Folks, look at this video. Look at this line. That's today. That's not South Africa when Nelson Mandela was running for president. That's today in Georgia. Go ahead, Quentin.
I mean, I don't think we're surprised here. I mean, every election, it seems like it's something new that they've done. I mean, 2 years ago in Georgia, we had the issue with Stacey Abrams running against the Secretary of State that was running the elections, and you know what he did. And then we had 2016 in Alabama, where they require people to get a certain kind of ID and start shutting down DMVs in Alabama Black Belt, right? So, I mean, I'm not surprised here when you see them trying to frustrate people and create fake drop boxes, and that the things won't be enforced. In Houston, I mean, in Texas, they've struck it down at the appeals court, but I mean, Donald Trump has appointed 29% of all the appeals court judges within the last 4 years. So, I mean, it shows why things are important. It shows why we should be out here voting, but it also allows us to open our eyes to what's really going on and what these Republicans are really doing and what they're willing to do to win an election. It's people out here dying, people out here getting evicted, but then they're trying to push a judge through.
Mustafa, I know you got to go to the top of the hour. Your final comment. Again, we have to get our people focused and understanding that we can't ignore presidential races. 90,000 people left the top of the ticket blank in Michigan in 2016. In Detroit alone, Trump won by 11,000. That was the difference between Trump winning and losing. And in fact, I just saw a poll. Senator Gary Peters is only up 1%, 48-47, against the black Republican who's running against him, John James. Republicans are pouring millions trying to snatch that Senate seat in Michigan.
Your vote is incredibly powerful. These folks understand that. That's why they keep trying to suppress you. Let's make sure that we understand the value of our vote. Make sure that from the top of the ticket all the way down to the city council, that you are actually understanding who these candidates are and making sure that you are voting for somebody who actually cares about your community, that you can actually help to make real change happen. And if you're not willing to do that, then you have no right to complain. You have no right to complain when we see all these egregious behaviors that are happening from law enforcement, things that are happening from the environment, from housing, all these various things that are going on. You actually have the power, and it's inside of your hand to make sure that you're holding people accountable and that you're making change happen. So use your power and stop giving it away.
All right, Mustafa, I certainly appreciate it, man. Thank you so very much. Folks, we are here again. We showed you the video, Georgia. We are here, though, in Dallas, where tomorrow early voting begins all across Texas. It was supposed to start later, but the governor did it 6 days earlier because of coronavirus. Now, he's been doing some other stuff as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Joining us right now is the senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church, Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III. Pastor, glad to have you here. We are, again, first of all, how did this come about? How did this come about utilizing your facility as a super voting site?
Well, again, it speaks to the power of all politics is local. Commissioner Price, who I think you'll be interviewing later, was the one that hooked up this as a super voting site. We've been a voting site through the years, but because of the power of electing on a local level those who represent the community, we were able to use our church. We got 150,000 square feet right here, and use our church as a super voting site in the community. And of course, it's something that we can control by way of sanitizing, by way of ensuring that people can safely vote. So all of that was done because of local politics. So yeah, the presidential election is extremely important, but at the same time, all politics is still local.
Now, of course, I was actually doing some walking earlier, and literally it's a mile all the way around. So you also have the advantage. Of having social distancing. So
Right.
if there can be massive lines, you have it. And also, people can utilize the parking lot as well. And so what is their plan tomorrow? Let's say, like the lines we saw in Georgia, what's your plan to be able or what's their plan in order to sort of get people in and out? Will they have them out of their cars? Will they tell them stay in their cars? How are they going to do it?
It's we have a multiple approach. On one level, those who are disabled, for example, differently abled, they can literally have people come out to the car where they can vote in the car. So again, we have 1,800 parking spaces here, so we'll be able to not only socially distance, but serve those who perhaps cannot come in. I have a member of this church, Barbara Record, who cannot wait to vote tomorrow, but she can't get out of her car, but she knows she can come here and she's going to be served. So the setup is that you're going to have persons from the church who are going to be serving water, making sure that people stay hydrated. We're going to ensure that this is a safe space to vote, because we've discovered, given all the dynamics you've already revealed, if you're going to vote, you got to have a plan. But the community has to have a plan as well to make sure that we can all vote safely.
I'll tell you this here, it was so interesting because when I was getting my morning walk in, it was an old black woman with a beat up car with a handicap sticker, and she was driving around the parking lot, and she said, is this where voting is tomorrow?
Right.
And I told her, yes, it is. And she said, do you know how they're gonna do it? I said, ma'am, I don't know. They're setting up right now. But she did her own pre-check.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and so are you hearing that as well, where folks are really, just like we're seeing in Georgia and other places, they are absolutely fired up to vote tomorrow?
To vote tomorrow, to vote early. I mean, and not only that, but they're planning how they're going to strategically come up with the ability to vote. So the powerful thing is, man, there's an energy about this election that I think the Republicans have a right to be scared about. That's why they're playing ruthless chess, while we're busy playing checkers. But the beautiful thing is we've got an energy, and with the enlightenment that programs like yours give, we can start playing chess as we deal with these ruthless Republicans.
Also, I think one of the things that we also are seeing and experiencing, we are seeing where we're actually seeing African Americans not just say my vote matters. We're seeing them also acknowledge that I got to grab other people as well.
Right.
I think, and look, I've done this a whole lot. I think people this election are even more attuned to the issues top to bottom.
Right.
Normally in a presidential election,
right,
it's all about the top. But here in Texas, Democrats could very well not take over the Texas House.
Yeah.
You have a lot of other local races. There's a black woman in Galveston who's running for a judicial position. Will be the first African-American woman elected as well. In 2018 midterms, when I went to Houston, I helped out 18 black women who won judicial positions all across Harris County as well. We'll be in Harris County tomorrow at the Fountain of Praise Church with Black Voters Matter. And so what we are seeing again, and I think this is where the constant voter education comes in,
right,
letting our people know it matters top to bottom.
Right. And the beautiful thing is you have organizations now that are more active than they normally have been. Right here in Dallas, the Divine Nine has been engaged in voter both education and registration. We've had several events right at this church, not to mention other churches that normally may not have dibbled and dabbled in politics, they would call it, but they're recognizing how important, how crucial, and how dangerous this election is if we do not mobilize and educate our people as it relates to the importance of this election.
All right, Pastor Haynes, we certainly appreciate it. First of all, glad to see Friendship West is doing this. Glad you also allowed us to do the show from here. And just so some of y'all know, I used to be a member here.
Thank you.
So my ties also made this possible.
That's right.
So just want to let y'all know that.
Say that. And I love your microphone too.
Yeah, I figured you would.
I love your microphone.
You know what? I was going to do that one myself. I was going to use. I said, you know what?
No, you got to
leave the black and gold microphone.
Thank you.
And he probably will pick up on that real quick.
Thank you. You got the ring, so at least let me have the mic.
Well, I got the alpha ring here, so you got that here. Pastor Haynes, I appreciate it. Folks, we're going to play the Joe Biden ad right now of the 14 black mayors, and then we come back from that. We'll talk with Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price. So let's go ahead and play that ad.
Black women have always been on the front lines for social justice.
It's what we do.
We organize, make phone calls,
and yes,
we run for office.
All while being fly.
We stand up
to systemic racism,
fight for health care
and justice for all our citizens, and use our power, our right, our responsibility.
Black women,
let's vote.
Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Your turn, fellas.
Okay, we got this. Fellas, brothers, we've heard our sisters,
our mothers, our wives and daughters cry out for equality.
Equality. All across this country. And now it's our turn.
Our responsibility to take our power back.
Black women vote more than black men.
And it's time we change that.
Don't give your power away.
Every single vote counts in this election.
Show up.
Show out.
And vote for Joe Biden
and Kamala Harris.
All right, folks, that was a pretty interesting ad there, having 14 black mayors talking about Joe Biden in this race. Joining us right now is Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price, affectionately known here in Big D as our man downtown. It has been an unbelievable election, Commissioner Price. Already, look, you've seen lots of different races. Have you seen anything comparable to this level of energy? I would dare say even factoring in Obama in 2008.
Not since Obama in 2008. In Dallas County right now, we have 1,300,000 individuals who are registered to vote. That's 100,000 more than we had in the last presidential election in 2016. The thing that bothers me, and I'm saying to African American people, we have seen since 2012 our voting decline in this state. There is nothing more at stake. You talked about the presidential race. Nothing is more at stake than the legislature and the ability in this state to flip the House. Next year is redistricting. We live with what the state legislators around this country do for the next 10 years. They will side congressional races. They will state house. They will do Senate. They do that. Commissioners do their own races. School districts do theirs. But the state legislature decides congressional races. They decide what those particular districts look like.
Also the state districts. So
the state
it's
districts.
the Senate, there are 31 Senate districts in Texas. Then you have the House districts as well. They decide all of that.
150 House districts, and then we're expected to pick up about 4 new congressional districts. So it'll decide what those districts are like, because we haven't seen our population in terms of African Americans expand in the state of Texas. So how they draw the districts make all the difference in the world. Let me just tell you, with the whole mail-in ballot piece, and I know there are people that are just flinching from that whole mail-in ballot piece. In Dallas, we had about 260,000 people of the 1.3 million that's 65 years of age and older. And so we mailed them a ballot. Right today, we've picked up about 126,000 applications. People have said, hey, I want a mail-in ballot. The problem is that we've only seen about 20,000 to date return, okay? Now, if you fool around and jack around and don't get that ballot back by Election Day, that's a drop-off point you were talking about. We only have one in Dallas, and that's at the elections wow. However, if you take your ballot to the post office, you can have them postmark it. As long as it's postmarked, we have to consider that ballot. And so I'm urging you, whatever you do, this has a lot of hype. And like I said, I thank Friendship West. There are 60 early voting locations in Dallas County. We spent $32 million buying new machines and making sure you can go and vote anywhere. You don't have to go back to your precinct, not even on Election Day. You can vote anywhere in Dallas County. And so the polls are going to open. We expect you to be there. Today, there were 1 million telephone calls from registered voters across this state, 1 million. And so we expect Texas to do what Texas knows it's supposed to do, and that is put us back on the map and bring us into the 21st century. I know we look archaic.
But for the people who don't even understand history, this was a state Democrats ran every statewide position.
Yes.
George W. Bush runs for governor, beats Ann Richards. Then when he ran the second time, that began the Republican domination in Texas in 1998. And so now all of a sudden, for the past 20 plus years, they've controlled all statewide positions. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing that I've been trying to explain to people, you had these Texas Republican governors who have been going to California, they've been going to New York, going to these places, trying to get all these corporations to move their businesses here. Guess what that brought? The people who work for them.
Sure.
So one of the reasons Texas is changing is because folk are moving from other states, and those folks still vote the way they want to vote. So I keep telling everybody, Republicans are like, how did this thing happen that the suburbs have changed? All that recruitment y'all did of Toyota and other companies, they brought all those employees with them from California.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, and what we want them to understand, and what I want people here to understand, is that we have never had a better opportunity than we have now. The next 3 weeks. They didn't expect early voting. Early voting has always been for 2 weeks. This year, it's 3 weeks, like you said, because of the pandemic, because of social distancing. So we're saying whatever you do for the next 3 weeks, and usually 60% of our votes are garnered doing early voting. So, you know, I know you want to be. We got 460 sites on Election Day. You know, don't sit around and wait until Election Day. You can vote early.
That's right.
Anything can happen between now and November 3rd. Vote early every day. You even voting on Saturdays and Sundays. We got the polls open on Saturdays all day and Sundays from 1 until 6.
So they are open on Sundays?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, because, you know, that was one of the things there when, you know, they were trying to stop souls to the polls.
I got it, but we're still there. 1 to 6 on Sundays. So all the polls will be open on Sunday.
The last thing here, which is again a huge thing for me, is what do you say? And we're seeing this a lot. I'm hearing for a lot of brothers who are like, man, look, the parties ain't done nothing. They ain't done nothing for us. And people say voting solves nothing. It's not going to solve anything. I keep saying, look, there's nothing in your life that politics ain't involved with. Birth certificate is a government document.
That's right.
Your death certificate is a government document. As somebody who's been in elective office, somebody who actually sits there, and when people, what do you say to people who say, Commissioner, my neighborhood ain't changed? I haven't actually seen anything change. I need to see something before I actually vote. We've heard that. What do you say to the people who make that comment?
Well, as the longest elected official, not African American, elected official in this county, I've seen things change. It's interesting you'd use that analogy. You're not born without a birth certificate, and you can't die without a death certificate. You're missing in action, anything in between. Government controls you from the womb to the tomb. They got you. And so as a result, why? Why would you not decide that you're going to, look, Ross Perot, and I know a lot of people may not know who he is. He is a billionaire. He has more money than I do, probably not I'll ever have. But guess what? On election day, he's got one vote and I've got one vote. That's power. And we need to hold our elected officials accountable. I'm 7 days a week, like I said, 35 years as a county commissioner. And so what I say to those individuals, for the most part, here, I challenge you. I'll challenge my district against any of my colleagues, 254 counties in Texas, and I'll challenge my district against others in deliverables.
Now, I'm going to put this last one on you because, again, somebody just sat here, and this is what somebody just said on the YouTube channel. Let me scroll up. This person said, essentially, if we are not getting reparations, I'm not voting. What I've said to people, well, first of all, I said, I've yet to see a single Republican come out and say that they're for reparations.
Right.
And then I said, so if you say you want reparations, there's only one other party where you can get it from. I said, so how do you also think that happens? That happens through politics. So if you don't elect, if you want reparations, and if you don't elect somebody that might deliver that, you saying I'm not going to vote actually goes against the very thing you say you want, because otherwise you ain't gonna get it unless it happens through politics. So the logic to say I'm not going to vote unless I get it, you ain't gonna get it unless you vote.
You know, election has consequences. We've heard that time and time and time again. Reparation is to repair. And one of the things that we need to do is once we get people in office, we need to make sure that we are able to begin to bring to the table that ability to get our part of the so-called American dream. And so whether it's a Toyota moving here, relocating, what does that mean for our community? And I think that's on us. That's our accountability factor. You know, if we're going to have second chance program, we've got to carry that ball. Okay, I'm not expecting nobody else to carry that ball for us. And so it's up to us to create programs where we get those individuals formally incarcerated, you know, OSHA 10, OSHA 30 certifications. You know, we've got to do that. And so I invite you to get involved, stay involved, and to vote. But first, you got to vote.
But see, the reason I brought that up, because if anybody for folk, and again, y'all, I was in Houston, I came to Dallas, I was at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, I then worked at the Dallas Weekly, I ran that black newspaper, KKDA Radio, Soul 73, news director, morning anchor, and so I've covered Commissioner Price. The thing that I need people to understand is that you've been driving white folks in this county crazy because, again, for the people out there who keep hollering reparations, when you say fair cut of county hospital contracts, fair cut of money being spent at the jail, fair cut of technology contracts, we can go down the line.
You're right.
They even came after you. You went through a federal trial, found not guilty, went after you because demanding fair share. So the reality is, for the people, again, who are not understanding, when you use political power to say, no, if you're spending billions, we're going to get our piece of that, that's using the political power. So to me, it's illogical when somebody says, I'm not going to vote, because if you don't vote, that means that we don't put somebody like you in office, so we're going to get somebody else. So how you think you're going to get something if you don't put the people in place who can actually create the kind of opportunities for us as African Americans? When I look at what's happening in Congress, look, you ain't got to love Joe Biden. You ain't got to love Kamala Harris. But I can guarantee you, you are going to see different federal judges. You're going to see different contracts. You're going to see different folks in place in all those federal agencies than you see from Donald Trump. To me, this is not hard.
As you said, it's not rocket science. All we've got to do is use what's in our hand. I don't want to, I'm in the church, so I'll use the Moses theory. Moses, what's in your hand? And what's in our hand is the vote. That's the power. We can decide that we can open that Red Sea, or we can sit there and look and wait for Pharaoh to catch up with us.
But you use that leading to election day, but this is the key. After the election is over, you can't disappear.
Oh, no.
See, that's the other thing I keep trying to tell our people. You got to make sure. You got to make sure they're coming to commissioner's court saying, we got your back. Going to the school board saying, hey, we got your back. Or we're watching, going to state house, Capitol House. That's also what I'm saying. The folk who get stuff don't just stop when the election is over.
Well, and we look at strictly elected politics, Roland. That's my problem. Let me tell you something. The most powerful board in this region is the airport board.
There you go.
You know, billions of dollars. Not only are they constructing, but this board is an appointed board. When you look at the hospital district board that we control, that's an appointed billions of dollars, not only in construction and building in the community and building health centers, but who builds them? Who builds them? Right here at Friendship West, right down the street. I don't know if you saw my new government center here. My new sheriff's center is being built right less than 400 yards from here right now. A new county government center in the African American community. Now that's an anchor. And can you imagine what's going to happen between here and Friendship West in the next few years with all that land? My problem is it's politics. I decided it's going to go there. If you look at that center, you're going to see African Americans financed it. You're going to see African Americans, for the most part, are constructing it. You're going to see. That's what we did when we broke ground. We were able to show that. And so that's what you see when you get people that that you can hold accountable.
Right. And that's when we talk about jobs, contracts, being able to deliver, and then now you take that and you replicate it all across the board. And so then when the companies want to say we want to move, and you say, okay, well, you're looking for incentives, what do we get? Don't just simply look for tax breaks. What do we get as a part of that? Are you going to hire our people? Are you going to have programs with HBCUs? Are you going to have programs with our black high schools? That's why I try to walk our people through that. We got to take this thing called voting, and we got to drill, or as one person, we got to be deeper than mustard on a hot dog.
Yeah.
We got to drill a lot deeper so people go, oh, hold up, wait a minute. Are you saying that connects to that? Yes.
Yes, precisely. Parkland Hospital. They will tell you the number one thing we talk is about black nurses. Prairie View has one of the premier black nursing programs in the country. It's a land grant institution. And as a result, we tell Parkland, hey, you need to recruit. You black nurses, we want to see some more black nurses. By the way, nurses run hospitals, not doctors. Nurses do. And so when you get that control, then you've got to begin to take and direct psychological programs, dealing with our young people in these juvenile facilities.
There you go.
We get a chance to drive that. And we say what those psychologists who are dealing with our children, what they look like. And so that's what politics is. And it's 7 days a week. And I don't care, as I said, room to tomb, what the water you drink, the electricity. I mean, politics control.
That's it.
The Public Utility Commission in Texas. I don't know what it is in other states, but the Public Utility Commission in Texas is appointed. They control and they control utility. Railroad Commission controls. I know it sounds like railroad, but it controls. And when you look at transportation,
and just railroads.
Oh no. They believe me. They don't just control railroads and transportation. At the end of the day, the transportation in the Texas Department of Transportation, billions of dollars. You know, we're sitting right now between 3 of the top interstates in the country, 35, 45, and 20. 20 is right here, less than 100 yards from here.
Yeah, I can look at it right now.
There you go. and the point is that's what of the top 10, that's 3. And we're sitting in the middle of it. So what does that mean? The southern sector of Dallas is larger than the entire city of Atlanta. And black folks dominate the southern sector of Dallas. I've got 700,000 acres in a place called the Dallas County Inland Port. We are now in the process of forging a relationship with a place called Plaquemines out of New Orleans, where we got a railhead that's deading in to a port that's right there on the Mississippi River, which carries us up. Let me just tell you, there's some things happening in Dallas, you know, in my district, we're extremely proud of.
But again,
politics makes
if you aren't sitting at the table, though, making that happen, it doesn't happen. And that's the piece.
That's the piece.
Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us, Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a bunch. All right, folks, got to go to a break. When we come back, we talk about the Jacob Blake case out of Wisconsin. There's another African-American shot and killed by cops. His parents and family, they've been protesting. They've been arrested. We will talk to his mother and their attorney next on Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Dallas, Texas.
When you have the platform in entertainment, I do believe it's important to use it, because the same people that will buy the movie ticket or stream the album or go and support the book, they're the same people. They're voting for what they want to see in entertainment. And now, to me, it's about using the platform to say, hey, it's not just about an entertainment vote, it's about a vote that actually is going to affect the very trajectory of your life.
Hello, my name is Angela Rye, and this is my daddy,
Eddie Rye Jr.
You only have one vote. What do they do with that, daddy?
Use your vote.
All right, so a lot of y'all always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear, so we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, you know, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike other, because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website, and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, it goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club. All right, folks, I want to go back to our panel. Let me bring in Teresa and Quentin. And Quentin, what Dallas County Commissioner John Wiley Price said, I'm so glad he did, because connecting the dots, and that's what I need our viewers to understand. We have to connect the dots when it comes to politics.
Right. It's actually really interesting, and I really enjoyed the things that he was saying, and really discussing how much money there is for Black people to take advantage of, and other minorities as well, right? These cities and these states and even the federal government have contracts going out all the time. Who do they give them to? When new housing developers come, who has the discussion with the housing developer saying that we have to set aside a certain amount of units to be affordable? Like he said, are you guys gonna recruit at Prairie View to get Black nurses in? Those are the things that we need our politicians to be having conversations about, right? And that's what we need to look for, and that's what we need to ask for. So like you said before, past the election, we need to make sure that we own them. We need to make sure that they know, like, hey, we watching, and we want results, right? So his conversation and the things that he was saying were awesome, really. And I love to see the things that Dallas is doing.
First of all, Teresa, what he said is not just limited to Dallas County. We see this all over the country, and I think for a lot of our folks not really understanding politics, when it comes down to billions. The New York Times over the weekend had this story that talked about all of these people who were giving money to Trump and becoming members of Mar-a-Lago, and this one guy was looking for $5 billion from the energy department, and another guy was looking for billions, and somebody else, and they were talking about billions of dollars. If we are not in those positions, we can't get that money.
Absolutely. And part of the other conversation is if we're not in the building, we at least have to be at the table, which means we have to be invited to be at the table. So some of these resources that are delivered and the contracts that are coming down the pike is about the connection of the dots. Again, I said it earlier, this is chess, not checkers. So positioning your bishop, positioning your rook, is very important in order to understand, what the dynamics are, especially the lay of the land, in order to get some of these politicians in gear and get some of this legislation, but more so getting some of these local contractors and building trades an opportunity for them to get to know, kind of who we are and what the platform is, kind of moving forward. But again, it's really about the politics. So it doesn't show there is a divide, but it's the relationship within that politics and understanding that it's an educational forum in order for the connectivity to happen to be economically stable.
All right, folks, we're going to talk about this next story. A police officer in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, he is not going to face any criminal charges in this fatal shooting of 17-year-old Alvin Cole. In a letter, Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm wrote that there was enough evidence that justified the deadly force of Officer Joseph Mensah. Now, first of all, this is a Black officer, and so, folks, it is an unbelievable story. A little bit later in the show, we're going to actually talk with the mother and the attorney of this particular story. Again, just an unbelievable story, and so we're going to share that. So we're getting those folks on the phone to actually talk about that. But right now, we want to continue. Yeah, we're going to discuss that story in the next 10 minutes. But first, we want to talk about this voting story here that is out of Harris County. You heard me talk about Texas Governor Greg Abbott limiting one mail drop box to each county. Well, Harris County and others, first of all, the lawyers community and others have been suing the governor. A federal court over the weekend said the governor was wrong. They appealed. The appeals court said they reinstated the initial ruling. Chris Hollins, Chris Hollins is the Harris County clerk. He joins us right now. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me this evening.
Talk to our folks again. We are seeing these battles with Republicans, not just in Texas, in Ohio. We saw the Republicans go to court over mail drop boxes in Pennsylvania. We did the story about how the California Republicans are putting out these fake drop boxes. But this thing in Harris is significant because the size of Harris County is bigger than a couple of states here. And frankly, to say that voters should only drop off a mail-in ballots to one location is crazy. What's the latest in this case?
So we beat the governor in court, but that was appealed to the Fifth Circuit. And so right now the decision has been stayed. And for now, we're stuck with a single drop-off location. And as you mentioned, this county is nearly 2,000 square miles across, larger than the state of Rhode Island, and with a population larger than 25 states in our union. We have over 200,000 folks who are voting by mail out of our 2.4 million registered voters. And so pushing those 200,000 people to only have a single drop-off location, when many of them have a more than 100-mile round trip in order to do that, is prejudicial and it's dangerous.
And not only dangerous, we ran some video last week of these massive lines, even when it comes to that drop-box location.
Right, and we're doing what we can to accommodate, to expand the capacity for that location. But certainly, we're above thousands a day now, and it's only going to go up from here. And so, again, we're pushing to expand the capacity of this location to share information with voters about how they might be able to vote in person safely. And we're also offering, drive-through voting for the first time in the history of the state of Texas. And so, despite everything that we're seeing from the governor, the attorney general, the Texas Supreme Court, we're going to ensure that this is the safest and most accessible election in the history of Texas. But they're not going down without a fight.
On that particular point there, obviously you have outside legal groups, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, LULAC, ACLU, others who are filing these lawsuits as well, saying it is grossly unfair. And so is it the county's lawsuit or is it these external groups? And so is anyone appealing this decision by the appeals judge?
Yeah, so we've submitted briefs today to the Fifth Circuit. We're unclear on when or if a hearing is going to take place and when a ruling might come down. But we're trying to move this along as quickly as possible. What we've seen, especially from our attorney general here in Texas, is that he tries to win by losing. If I can tie you up in the courts as long as I can, then ultimately you're not going to be able to get information, access, resources to voters because we simply run out the clock. And so that's what we're up against, and we're fighting as hard as we can.
All right, Chris, so final thing. As of now, early voting begins tomorrow in Harris County. Let folks know, how many early voting locations do you have in Harris County? But if you want to drop off your ballot, there's only one place you can drop it off in Harris County, as of now.
That's correct. We have over 120 early voting locations. We have tripled the number of voting centers since 2016 alone. We're offering extended voting hours. We're going to offer 24-hour voting on October 29th for the first time in Texas history and only the second time in U.S. history. And you can go to harrisvotes.com/locations to find a location near you and to see the approximate wait time at those locations so you can get in and get out and get back to your family as safely and quickly as possible.
All right, Chris Hollins, Harris County Clerk. I surely appreciate it, sir. Thank you so very much.
Thanks so much. Have a great evening.
All right, folks, just so you know, tomorrow I am actually going to be there. I'm going to be there tomorrow in Harris County. What is happening tomorrow, the folks at Black Voters Matter, they're actually holding a rally that's taking place tomorrow at the Fountain of Praise. They're doing all sorts of different things to get folks out to vote. And so let me just go ahead and show you guys this graphic here. Tomorrow, again, Tuesday, Fountain Life Center, 14075 South Main Street in Houston. At 12:30, they're doing a Black Voters Matter caravan and rally. But at 5:30, the social distance rally will start. If you are in Houston or Harris County, I would love to see you. We'll be broadcasting Roland Martin Unfiltered from the Fountain of Praise tomorrow. But we'll be live at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. We, of course, Grammy Award-winning singer, Grammy-nominated singer Brian Courtney Wilson. He is going to be he's going to be on the program singing. They got free food out there as well, and so again, this is all about getting folks fired up. Free boxed meals, free swag, also free PPE. Again, that's Latasha Brown, Cliff Albright with Black Voters Matter. Their bus is going to be all across the city tomorrow. They're going to be spending time also in Galveston, Texas. They're going to be coming to Dallas later this week as well. So I'm looking forward to being with them tomorrow at Fountain of Praise. Got to go to break. We come back to talk about that case out of Wisconsin next on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Black people have said that for years, that white men, especially white men with money, were afforded all these passes.
I'm listening to her.
They see it from their own people. And when I say their own people, meaning people who are in their own tax bracket and everything, acting a fool, kowtowing to this man. We saw him sit at a table while everybody basically told and said, oh yes, my liege, and this is what I think, and you're such a beautiful man. And we saw these people who have degrees, accomplishments, all these things just pile on. He has no words, he has nothing. He's just rich and white and male. And so people want to see that power on display and then tell us that we're crazy. They can't do it anymore. That's the good news.
Yo, it's your man Dion Cole from Blackish, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
All right, folks, welcome back to Roland Martin Unfiltered. I was talking about this story, folks, out of Wisconsin. That is unbelievable. This young man is Alvin Cole. He was shot outside of a Wauwatosa, Wisconsin mall on February 2nd when police responded to a disturbance call. But the officer involved has actually shot and killed several people in the last 5 years. Joining us right now is the sister of Alvin Cole, Talivia Cole, and the family's attorney, Kimberly Motley, CEO and founding partner of Motley Legal Services. Folks, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Talivia?
Can you hear me?
Talivia, Roland Martin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Kimberly Motley, can you hear me? Kimberly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, now I have both of you. Talivia, tell us please, or Kimberly, I'll start with you. What exactly happened? What happened to Alvin Cole?
Well, in February 2nd of this year, Alvin Cole went to the mall with a bunch of his friends, and he was there, and there was an argument in the mall. When he came out the mall, there was a commotion, and the police were called to the mall. And ultimately, when he left the mall, him and his friends were chased by a number of police officers. They were ultimately arrested, some of his friends, and ultimately Alvin Cole was asked to surrender. He did run first. He had a weapon on him. He fired the weapon, and he accidentally shot himself. And so the gun was empty, and he was on his hands and knees. Between him accidentally shooting himself, and the Officer Mensa was running up behind him. And while Alvin Cole was on his hands and knees, he shot at him 5 times, 2 times to the back, 3 times when Alvin Cole was face down on the ground. Despite the fact that there were at least 4 other officers at the scene at the time, Officer Joseph Mensa was the only officer who fired his weapon. He was the only officer that claimed that Alvin Cole was pointing a weapon at him, and he's the one that ultimately shot and killed Alvin Cole. Now, it's important to note that Officer Joseph Mensa has only been on the Wauwatosa Police Force for 5 years. Within that time period, he has fired his weapon 19 times, and Alvin Cole was the 3rd person that he has shot and killed. He has never been charged with a crime. He has never been terminated from his employment. And so we are asking for that he be held accountable. And we believe that Officer Joseph Mensa should be charged for a crime, and also he should be terminated immediately from his job.
Talivia, here I have this story up from KSTP, where the police chief of Wauwatosa said there's no reason that Mensah should be fired, even though, as Kimberly said, he's killed 3 people in 5 years.
Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous. Wisconsin has been, in the dark for so long that they think no one would challenge them. And today is the time. This is the time. He failed to render aid to each victim after he shot and killed them. Even when he was the only officer there, he failed to wait for a backup. He just failed to do everything he needed to do as an officer, even in de-escalation. So now there's a third person, and it's my little brother who was on his way to college, who was about to graduate high school. So the question is, how many more must die in the hands of Joseph Mensah?
Kimberly, this is certainly obviously disconcerting. There have been protests there in Wauwatosa. This story has not gotten a lot of national attention. I want to thank Howard Fuller for reaching out to me and bringing this to my attention. What more can be done? What are y'all hoping is done? Obviously, the district attorney is there, decided there are no charges. The police chief said he's not going to be fired. What's next, Kimberly?
Well, I think it's important to note that the district attorney said basically he cannot prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, but he has never said that the shooting was justified. 2 days ago, the Fire and Police Commission, they hired an investigator, and that independent investigator determined that Officer Joseph Mensah is unfit to be an officer and has said that he is not credible and he should be terminated for cause. And so we believe that DA John Chisholm is completely wrong with his decision. We believe that there needs to be a special prosecutor to be called to re-review these cases of the 3 young men, Alvin Cole, Jay Anderson, and Antonio Gonzalez. We believe that the Fire and Police Commission should do as their investigator, whom they hired, did, and follow his recommendations, and to terminate him immediately from his job. And we also believe, frankly, that under the failed leadership of Chief Weber, who has been a police chief of Wauwatosa for 38 years, that he also should be fired. He has normalized this behavior by Officer Joseph Mensah. And even though Officer Joseph Mensah may be the one that's pulling the trigger, we certainly believe that Chief Weber, DA John Chisholm, and frankly, Mayor McBride are helping to put the bullets in the gun. And so there needs to be an accountability for this, and that needs to start with Officer Joseph Mensah being terminated and criminally charged.
Talivia, your final thoughts.
Roland, like I said, it's a lot going on, and in the beginning they wanted us to be silent, and I'm very grateful for this platform because, I'm my brother's keeper. I can't just let him, die in vain, especially watching the video, hearing him scream, no gun, no gun, before several shots were fired at him, and that's what the media failed to play. That's what the media failed to say, because my brother screamed, no gun, before he was shot. While being shot, you hear another officer saying, stop. These are crucial things in an investigation. And if the DA doesn't believe that, that's a problem. It's a problem that he is the same DA on Antonio Gonzalez case, on Jay Anderson case. This is a conflict of interest. How do we believe that DA Chisholm will handle this investigation as if he would have handled any other investigation? We do not believe he is fit to prosecute this case. That's why there needs to be an appointed prosecutor for this case, besides DA Chisholm, who has allowed Joseph Mensah to be still in these streets, knowing that he is a coward, he is a killer, and he's going to kill again.
Talivia Cole, Kim Motley, we certainly appreciate you joining us to tell us about this story, bring it to the attention of our viewers. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Roland.
All right, folks, lots of new viral ads targeting Donald Trump.
Thank you.
Roll it.
Going to ask that we bow our heads in prayer. God remembers. God remembers our sins. He sees our lying and our cheating and our corruption. And the scripture says, be sure your sin will find you out. He was a playboy. He loved ease and he loved pleasure. And the Bible says, woe to them that are at ease.
If you don't support me, you're going to be so poor, you're not going to believe it.
The events of this past year.
Coronavirus. We pretty much shut it down, coming in from China.
And the events of this present hour.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
Would indicate to me that we're already experiencing judgment upon judgment upon judgment.
I am the chosen one.
This may be the last moment that you'll ever have. And now is the moment. You get up and come.
Rough 4 years.
You can say that again.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
If I was starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians.
Mr. Trump, you know in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Teresa, Quentin, what do y'all make of those antiviral ads? Lincoln Project, Teresa, was featured on 60 Minutes last night. Man, they've been swinging hard on Donald Trump.
I need the contact information for whoever's coming up with that type of strategy. But listen, I said this before, I think the campaign, the Democratic campaign has decided to be a little lax on the media advertisement, on the negative ads for Donald Trump. So I'm happy that the organizations like the Lincoln Project, Common Cause, and various other attack ads are happening. But to be quite honest, I didn't even see it as an attack. If honest, we're talking about facts. It is an absolute fact. The numbers have been skyrocketing for 200,000 that have been killed here in America due to the pandemic because of negligence. And then globally, 1 million. And then there's so many other issues that I think, even these 30-second ads have really hit a touch point as it relates to, just kind of understanding the process of how some of these ads are made. So.
First of all, Quentin, look, the viral ads play a critical role because, again, it's constant. It's a barrage of messaging. That's the whole key, barrage of messaging.
I think it's important. I think it's good that they did it. I really feel like they were very colorful. Some of them, I was very surprised to see the one with the elephant. I really liked the one with Billy Graham. I think it really just kind of shot it home. And I mean, I think they need to do it more, especially going down to actual election day. Pump it out, pump it out, pump it out. Because, I mean, I think people get tired of hearing the same politicians saying how bad he is. I think when you kind of put those videos together, you put them out there for people to pick and choose and just see and see and see and getting it from different angles, I think it's really important. I mean, propaganda is king.
Now, we should be able to hear me now. So hopefully, folks, we're going to see more of these ads over the next 21 days until Election Day. Folks are voting right now across the country. That Sam Jackson ad the Biden campaign put out about voter suppression, that is also hugely important, one that we got to keep emphasizing because, again, we're going to see a lot more attacks on the right to vote in this country. Teresa, Quentin, I want to thank both of you for joining us at our panel today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. We're going to talk with Jim Jones. How can you stay motivated just by starting moving? Also, in memoriam, we remember a couple of baseball greats, one an executive and one a Hall of Famer. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered, broadcasting live from Friendship West Baptist Church, one of the super voting early sites tomorrow. Early voting begins in Texas. We'll be right back.
When you have the platform in entertainment, I do believe it's important to use it because the same people that will buy the movie ticket or stream the album or go and support the book, they're the same people. They're voting for what they want to see in entertainment. And now, to me, it's about using the platform to say, hey, it's not just about an entertainment vote, it's about a vote that actually is going to affect the very trajectory of your life.
Hello, my name is Angela Rye, and this is my daddy.
Eddie Rye Jr.
You only have one vote. What do they do with that, daddy?
Use your vote.
Yo, it's your man Dion Cole from Blackish, and you're watching
Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Stay woke.
Black people have said that for years, that white men, especially white men with money, were afforded all these passes and, get out of jail free cards. And, and people thought we were not only being paranoid, but but now they see it on display. They see it from their own people. Mm-hmm. And when I say their own people, meaning people who are in their own tax bracket and everything, acting a fool, kowtowing to this man. We saw him sit at a table while everybody basically told and said, oh yes, my liege, and this is what I think, and you're such a beautiful man. And we saw these people who have degrees, accomplishments, all these things just pile on. He has no words, he has nothing. He's just rich and white and male. And so people want to see that power on display and then tell us that we're crazy. They can't do it anymore. That's the good news.
All right, my man Jim Jones is here. So, Jim, I want to talk about this here. So, this is a photo here, folks. I was outside today here at Friendship West Baptist Church. I stayed at a local hotel, which is not far from here. But the problem is, because of coronavirus, the gym was shut down. And so I couldn't work out in the gym. So I decided to go ahead and come to the church. I knew we had to set up shop here, and so I walked all the way around. And so the parking lot, massive parking lot, and so essentially it was 1 mile was completing one lap. And so I got in almost my 10,000 steps, and so trying to get it all in. And Jim Jones, who joins as a fitness expert, the reason I want to have you on this week because, I posted something the other day on my Instagram channel, and somebody decided to come on and wanted to run their mouth, and we were talking about just movement. And so this person was like, oh, you should have got your heartbeat up, your heartbeat was too low, you need to be it should have been more fast. And I was like, because what I did was I was watching a movie and I decided to just get on my treadmill, put it on 2.0, and then I walked, and then I raised it to 2.5. I wasn't trying to work a sweat up. I was just trying to take a nice gingerly walk. And, and these folks start commenting, oh, no, you got to go harder, you got to go more. I'm like, no, fool, it's called movement.
Right.
Right, Roland, can you hear me?
So let's talk about movement. Why we have, yes, I can hear you. How important is movement when it comes to not just working out hard, but just moving your body?
For sure. Well, Roland, the first thing I always say is you got to make fitness feasible, right? And when you're on, people are on the internet, you have so many internet fitness gurus. And what the fitness industry tends to do, they tend to market towards the fit industry and they get overly scientific and overly technical. But at the end of the day, fitness is about moving. The more you move, the more calories you burn, the more your heart rate goes up, and just the better shape you're going to be in. So you had the perfect idea. And the first thing I tell people is, do what you did. Do what you're going to do, like watch a movie, watch the basketball game, watch a presidential debate, and just walk on a treadmill and just move, because you know what? Before that, you weren't doing that, right? People usually just sit there and do stuff. So, Roland, you're actually onto something. You're making fitness feasible, and that's the key right there.
So, Jim, here's a perfect example. I'm gonna show you this right here. I'm gonna show you this right here. And so this is the photo that I shot. And so I walked for an hour. Yep. I burned 537 calories, and the average heart rate was 102. I wasn't like going hard. I wasn't trying to sit here. And I got it in about an hour. I got in almost 9,000 steps. And so the whole point there was, as opposed to just sitting and watching television, I decided to do that. And so isn't that, when we talk about us being more active, isn't that important when it comes to the movement? Because now, if I look at my watch right now, I've now taken, because of all of other stuff I've been doing, I've taken a total of 13,916 steps, and almost half of those steps were me doing that walk there. And so I just think it's important for us to stop trying to make people think that they've got to go hard and they got to sit here and, do all these things, and we need you to lift weights and going so fast. If we can get our people just to start moving, because if you ain't been moving, any movement is better than nothing.
For sure, Roland, you're spot on. You know what? So I've helped over 1,000 clients get to their goals, and the first thing I tell them is fitness is doing more than you did the day before. That's all it is right there, and that's how I've helped so many people reach their weight loss goals and just do a little bit more. Like you said, Roland, people are just sitting down doing nothing, watching TV. So if you're getting on a treadmill, taking your steps in, and you got to understand, that's all bonus, right? So at the end of the day, you look up, you lived your regular life, you incorporated fitness into what you were going to do. And that's how I tell people, if you're going to be consistent, fitness has to be a lifestyle. You're always going to watch the game. You're always going to watch your TV show. If you can walk and do that, if you can blend fitness in your lifestyle and make that one, that's the key to success, Roland. So you're on to something, Roland. I don't know who is in the comments, man, but that's the problem with the industry. They got to stop doing that. You're making fitness feasible, and that's the key to success.
Well, in fact, I was just sitting here, and one of the folks said, this is all true. This person said, I walk while watching the show.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect.
Again,
that's perfect.
It's a 2-hour show. If you're going to watch the show, and here's my whole point. You ain't got to go hard. Just take a gingerly walk. You're watching the show.
For sure. Absolutely. And like I said before, the key to success is exercise has to work into your lifestyle, right? Do it. So that's a genius. So whoever did that, shout out to the watcher out there. That's a perfect blend. I mean, listen, I would love to have her as a client because she's already gets the mindset, right? If you're watching the show, if you're doing what you love, add working out onto that, and that will help you like exercise, right? I think a lot of times in the fitness industry, we want to just force people to work out. No, let them do what they like to do, and then let them work out while they're doing that. That's a perfect start to that's a gateway into building a healthier lifestyle, right? Because you're already, your blood's flowing, you're already used to working out. So now when I come and give you the burpees, it's nothing. You're looking forward to it because you're already in the groove.
All right, then. Jim Jones, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. How can people reach you?
Listen, they can reach me on Instagram at GYMJONEZ, and on Twitter, I am Jim Jones, GYMJONEZ Global. I have a huge event on Saturday. I'm doing go-go concert and fitness combined. So if you're in Washington, D.C. area, come check me out.
All right, Jim Jones, we certainly appreciate that, joining us on Fit, Live, Win. All right, folks, just one more item here, that we lost a couple of folks who were greats in the area of baseball. Joe Morgan, Hall of Fame baseball player, a longtime player for the Cincinnati Reds. He also played for my hometown, Houston Astros. He died on Sunday at the age of 77. He had struggled in recent years with various health issues. He was a two-time National League Most Valuable Player, a 10-time baseball all-star, 5-time Golden Globe winner. As I said, spent the majority of his 22 years with the Reds and the Astros. He, while is known as the best second baseman in the history of baseball, he also gained renown for his 25 years as a broadcaster. After his baseball career, he is survived by his wife of 30 years, Teresa, and their twin daughters, Kelly and Ashley. He's also survived by daughters Lisa and Angela from his first marriage to Gloria Morgan. Our hearts are certainly with the great Joe Morgan. Baseball also, folks, lost former top executive, Major League Baseball, Jimmy Lee Solomon. He died at the age of 64. His family found him dead at his home in Houston. Solomon was among the highest-ranking black executives in baseball. He left in 2012. He established many of the baseball youth academies and assisted in launching the annual Futures Game of top prospects. He joined Major League Baseball in 1991 as Director of Minor League Operations and was promoted to Senior Vice President of Baseball Operations in 2000. In 2005, he became the Executive Vice President of Baseball Operations, where he was given authority for on-field discipline, security, and ballpark management. He had just announced a major deal that he was doing with a private equity company in Houston just last month. The business that Dusty Baker, the Houston Astros manager, is also involved with. And so just a stunning loss right there of Jimmy Lee Solomon. So our thoughts and prayers. He was a great guy. I often talk to him on several different occasions. And so, again, Jimmy Lee was just a really great guy, and we definitely hate to lose him. Folks, don't forget, tomorrow I'm going to be at Fountain of Praise in Houston, Texas, where Black Voters Matter. They are having a big-time social distance rally. Singer Brian Courtney Wilson is going to be there. Also, I believe Yolanda Adams is going to be there as well. And so we are looking forward to all of that. We wanted you guys to come on out. If you're in Houston, we've got food that's going to be out there. We've got any number of things that's going to be out there. And so we're looking forward to that. And so I'm going to be broadcasting this show live from Fountain of Praise Church tomorrow in Houston, Texas. Let's pack it out. Social distance, wear your mask. So we're going to stay safe, but please do that, folks. So let's do that. All right, then. I am, of course, we're sitting here, folks. Again, we're done today for the show. We are here at Friendship West Baptist Churches. So what you're seeing, folks, behind me, you're seeing the voting machines. This place is going to be jam-packed tomorrow, the first day of early voting here in Dallas County. I actually vote somewhere else. My parents, they work the polls as well, and so folks are going to be all throughout here, almost 30 voting machines here. They're going to be running them through. We want to make sure that we're voting, and so please, folks, listen. My mama already sent me a text. She works the polls. She's like, look, don't y'all wait for the last day. Get it done early. And so tomorrow it's going to be lots of lines. Look, you may not want to vote tomorrow, first day, but get it done. Don't wait until November 3rd. Folks, also, if you want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered, your support allows us to be able to go on the road and do the show live, not just in D.C. I've already gotten some text messages. There are folks asking me, can I come do the show from Florida? October 24th, Sheena Mead with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. They already sent me that. We're going to be live tomorrow in Houston. We want to do more of this, taking our show on the road, being able to tell our stories. You can support us by going to Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal.me/R Martin Unfiltered. Of course, Venmo.com/RM Unfiltered. You can also send a money order to New Vision Media Inc., NU Vision Media Inc., 1625 K Street Northwest, Suite 400, Washington, D.C., 2006. We've got more than 13,000 members of our fan club. Our goal is to have 20,000 people who are donors to our campaign. We're asking $50 each for the year. That's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Your dollars make it possible for us to do what we do. And so please support us in any way that you can. Any amount that you give is greatly appreciated. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can give on the YouTube channel. You don't have to wait. And so please support us in what we do, because again, we've got some great things that we want to do, some really special things, because this is about us being independent, having our voice to tell our stories. Look, national media, they're not going to have Commissioner John Wiley Price on, Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes on. We have the ability to be able to tell these stories. Same thing with Alvin Cole, that story. National media is not paying attention to it. We want to be able to control our destiny and tell our stories and control the narrative. That can only happen when you support us. So for instance, tomorrow, when I go to Houston, I've already put the call in. There are going to be 3 students from Texas Southern University who are going to be helping me produce tomorrow's show. So when you support our show, we will allow us to go on the road and to help and to allow HBCU students to help us when we work on the show as well. We pay them for their work, and that's how we do this. And so this it. Pastor Haynes, come on over here. Do this here. We're going to wave by. I don't have, you got your mask on. Hold up, we're going to be real black here. So let me, hold up, I got my Texas A&M 12th man towel. So I just go ahead and cover my mouth this way. And so Fred, we certainly appreciate you letting us use the facility to do the show. And so don't forget, y'all got to vote tomorrow. And so we can do that. And so use our power. And so you know how I end the show. You can go ahead and end the show the way I normally end the show.
I can do that?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
Don't play.
Yes. Hold on. You got it. Can't nobody hear you. There you go. Go ahead.
I've been wanting to do this. Roland, welcome back home. This is your home church. Don't you ever forget it. So in the meantime, holla!